Marty Cesario with longtime head coach for Colorado State men's lacrosse, Ryan MacDonald, also a Colorado State graduate, approaching the spring 2026 season. We're excited about it as a production crew because, once again, this will be our fifth year producing live home game broadcasts for CSU lacrosse. So, Ryan, let's look at this schedule here, which something I want to note, 9 home games. So that's 9 times that you, as a viewer and a lacrosse fan, will get to watch the Rammies via our productions. And then the season's not too far off, right? You're going to start on the road in Northern California on February 20th. And once again, it's always the case. You got a pretty sexy schedule with a lot of really good programs and opponents, right? Santa Clara and then Cal in that first weekend, right?
Yeah, definitely starting the season off with four away games is going to be a test to the team right off the bat to see what our identity is. And I didn't when creating the schedule, front loading your trips in the beginning is not typically ideal, but back-to-back weekends, and then we have 7 home games straight, so it's it's kind of front loading those tough games in the beginning, and then having our home field advantage for 7 games in a row is going to be like the meat of our season. So, we'll start with a scrimmage against Colorado College, NCAA Division III program that we do yearly scrimmage with them every year. And we'll go up to Colorado Springs for that on the 7th. So we're excited for that. It does say noon on the schedule here, but it's actually 1:30 game. So if that's being advertised anywhere, we can make sure we get that correction too. So, but yeah, Marty, I'm super happy to be on the call, man. This is, this is special. 5th year doing this with you guys. You guys are part of the family, and you're what make the world go round for us. Getting our name out there and keeping it out there, and we're super grateful to be doing this again and giving you guys 9 home games to stream is pretty special. So we definitely want to really keep making the live stream the best in the nation, and sponsorships definitely help with that, and ad revenue space and all of that. But you guys are what make this the best thing for us. So we're super pumped to be having you out there again, and got a couple different venues. We're playing at the Boston College game. First home game is going to be played at the Poudre School District Stadium. That's right off of Timnath, in Timnath there. And that's something that we're working on right now to make sure that we can have concessions and all the high school teams, and just really make it an extremely fun first home game. And we're excited for that Friday night game at 7:30 against Boston College. So.
Yeah, when you note that first home game, so again, the Rams are going to start off on their schedule on the road, Santa Clara, Cal, then Texas, TCU, and then at home, Boston College, like you mentioned. This will be at what is the campus of Timnath High School. That's going to be a cool look. You describe it off I-25, brand new facility, so that'll be a cool look to start. And you say home of the PSD high school program, right? Which is kind of interesting. Our analyst Patrick Sullivan has been named head coach of that program. So we'll note that too, like a lot of cool things going on with that home opener for your program.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean that the PSD district stadium, it's Poudre School District Stadium. So it's hard to say PSD Stadium, but they have the competition turf right next to it too. But we requested to be on one field or the other, and they see how big of an event it's going to be. So it's honestly going to bring the lacrosse community and the youth sports community together, kind of connect, Resurrection Christian, Thompson Valley, Windsor High School, and then PSD that's allowing us to use their stadium. But this is something that, we're going to try to work to help all 4 of our local high school programs. It all kind of feeders together, right? With my Northern Power Lacrosse youth program that I have that feeders into all those high school programs. We're just kind of the top of the tree, kind of branching out, making sure that we're helping all of those teams out. Something that, having Northern Power Lacrosse, it's like, hey, here's a stick, here's how to learn to play. And then having them continue through the ranks all the way through getting into high school, and then they come back to the CSU games. It just creates a sense of community, and is more than just a game, right? So that's something that we're building, and we're finally, this is my 7th or 8th year, I think. 8th year with the program, or I guess if you count my volunteer year from the first year, it's about my 8th season. So what I've been able to build over these years with the youth community, with the high schools, with those relationships, with ADs from the districts, like that's something that is finally coming to fruition. And, that you're a big part of that too, Marty, and Phil Mildren, and all of this that's being put together. I feel like it's really going to come together on that first home game, just because of how much of the community is working together to make that a great event. And, we'd love to really pack that stadium and get everybody out. And we're extremely excited. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. So, and the boys will be ready to compete and win a game for us as our first home game, really set the tone for all of our home, our home slate. But yeah, it's been a lot of work getting it all up and running and making sure that it's something that's just going to be, kind of a legacy that I can leave with the program. I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. I love this program. Like you've said before, that, I played here from 05 to 08, and, I live and breathe CSU lacrosse and lacrosse in general, and creating a great experience for all players, all ages, from kindergarten all the way to, senior year of college, and then alumni after that too. So, it's a community, it's a family, and that starts with CSU. So I'm excited for the season.
That home slate's going to start again on March 6th. It'll be a Friday night home game at Timnath Stadium, and that'll be against Boston College. And then as you look further down, the schedule, there'll be 7 in a row home dates for CSU. You go BC, Arizona State, Florida, San Diego State, Chapman, Cal Poly, Boise State. Those are 7 home games in a row against pretty good programs. I mean, again, aggressive scheduling is part of what you guys do. And you can explain the value of doing that and why you put together, again, a really tough schedule for the CSU Rams.
Yeah, strength of schedule at the end of the day, at the end of the season, your record is going to define who you are as a program. But a lot of it is, who were those wins against, who were those losses against? Obviously you want to have more wins in the win column than in the loss column. But when getting an at-large bid, a lot of the coaches that are doing those polls and ranking teams and seeing where you're at, we've fallen short by 1 game or 2 games, or like one mistake here. I don't want to put everything on one mistake that happened in a game, but it's a turn of events that can happen, and you don't take care of the games that you're supposed to win. You're going to get bumped from the national tournament. And so we're putting ourselves in a place where we can compete against the best in the MCLA. And it's not an easy slate, but it's something that I think our team is prepared for. And, I'm not going to just give a cakewalk of a season and go, win every single game and then not get an at-large bid because our strength of schedule wasn't good enough. So you have to factor in, the travel. You have to make sure you're playing out of conference opponents. And, I think around the MCLA, I think everybody's looking at CSU that, this is a good, trip to make with CSU and CU. Always being ranked in the top 20, it's something that we are here to stay, and they know that, and they know that they have to beat the best to get where they want to go too. So, last year we were 7-6, but every single one of those 6 games, minus maybe one that got away from us, but I think 5 of those games were really well competed and fell short by a goal or 2 against some of the best that won their conference and some of the best that were out there. So we, having the travel, the home and the aways, last year we went to UCSB and Chapman, and now Chapman's repaying us, and they've got San Diego State coming out to us. And then in 27, we'll repay that with a nice, Southern California trip. So it does, creating those relationships with these coaches. They come out, they play CSU, really great competition, both games. And then we're going to go and play them in the following year. So schedules just continue to stay strong. You build those relationships with these teams, and it's hard to tell a great team when they're coming here, like, hey, we're coming to Colorado. Do you want to play us? You can't say no, right? Like they want to make the trip out. We're going to host them. We're going to, be gracious hosts and really take care of them when they're here. And, that in the end, I hope is going to really show that, we're not afraid to do anything that's out in front of us. So there will be adversities. There will be, a lot to test the team early on and throughout the away schedule and the home schedule. And it's going to be an exciting season, honestly.
After that run of 7 consecutive home dates, then you go on the road. hit Utah and Utah Tech. Then you come back and like a couple of tough squads out of Utah and Utah Valley, and then BYU. And I do notice this year you have BYU back at Canvas Stadium for that big event, which is your home season finale. You know, what makes it special to be playing BYU once again inside the big house?
Yeah, BYU has been every single national championship story that you have as a player. Anybody who's been on national championship teams or made it to the championship or won it, we have to go through BYU. You have to go through them in the RMLC, in the RMLC championship. You have to go through them in the national championship. It's just, that rivalry has been instilled in us for many, many years. It's a hated rivalry. Me as a coach, I have to have more of a, working relationship with the coaches and the staff. But when it comes down to it, it's gritty. It's hard-nosed lacrosse. It's really great high-level stuff. And there's a lot of history behind both programs. So we have 6 national championships, more than any other MCLA team in the country. I was a part of the 2006, national championship. And we had to beat, we had to go through all of them. We beat CU in the RMLC finals, but we had to, get through BYU to get to where we want to go in the national tournament. I think we beat them in the semifinals to get to nationals that year. And I remember just, being a sophomore on the team and that just being one of the, grittiest, hardworking games that we've ever played. And then you had to go right back and win the national championships against CU. So, our RMLC is not easy. When it comes to UVU making their strides and really putting themselves on the map, you've got BYU that's second to us in the most MCLA national championships. And if you'd like to quote me on that, you can. I'm still going to say they have 5, we have 6. You can put an asterisk against their invitational tournament win. But we're always going to be competing with them for national championships. It's going to be, stride for stride. And then UVU coming into the mix, and then CU always being prevalent. We've been knocking them off a couple times in a row now with the Rocky Mountain Showdown. So that's going to be a great rivalry game too. I'm sure you'll segue into that here in just a second. But that Rocky Mountain Showdown is still always one of the best. But the RMLC is not getting any easier. It's the four top teams are going to always be ranked in the top 5, top 10, top 20. And then University of Utah is always, if you don't show up, they're gonna take you off. They're gonna beat you. And Utah Tech is now, they're growing as a program and always going to be prevalent in there too. So it's something that we know what's in front of us, and we're breaking our season up in quarters. Just kind of like first quarter is going to be those away games. Second quarter is going to be the first half of our home games. Third quarter, the remaining half of our home games, and then our away trip, and then our overtime. When you have those 4 quarters of your season, and then that overtime is going to be UVU, BYU, and CU, and then you want to win those overtime games. And that's going to be at the end of our season, and that leads right into the RMLC tournament and nationals. So we're kind of taking this season on as a game in its own and breaking it apart so that it's something that we can make in manageable pieces, because you look at it in front of you, we have 16 games with 17 as a scrimmage with Colorado College. That's a lot of lacrosse. That's putting the guys through the ringer. That's going to be every weekend we're going to have a game, and it's really just to make sure that we're playing all the opponents that they say that we need to, and when it comes down to the at-large bid at the end, if we're in that position again, we don't want it to ever be something that's like, you guys you didn't beat, you beat CU, but CU beat so-and-so. But it's like, that I could talk for hours about the what ifs, the whys, but what it comes down to is you got to win your games in the season. You can't leave it up to chance. And you win the RMLC, you get an automatic bid to nationals. So that's our goal. That's where we're striding for. And we're holding each other accountable in practice every day, and have set some non-negotiables and some standards that if they're not hitting, they've agreed upon those, and they will do their punishment. They'll use peer-to-peer accountability, and you're going to have your standards and you're going to have your rules. We set our standards based on agreements of the team and what we expect from from them, and then they expect from each other. If they're not meeting those standards, then they do their punishment, and they know that they can tell each other to do that punishment. Like, something as simple as you get beat top side, that guy's going to run a 440 or do 2 lines, just real quick down and back, so we just really want to instill that culture, something that's been there before. But, we just have to continue every single year, find that identity for your team. That is done, mostly in the fall, but spring, these first couple weeks is really like, who do we want to be? Who we are, what we do is what we want to be. But we want to make sure that, how do we get to who we want to be? Like, how do we get to, who are we and what are we best at doing? So finding that identity is these first couple weeks, and guys have been hitting it hard already. So we're in week 2. We had canvas practice yesterday in the stadium because the practice field wasn't plowed, so they threw us in canvas. So we're pretty privileged there, and very grateful that we get to utilize some of the beautiful campus stadium stuff that we have, and that great relationship that we've created with CSU athletics is unmatched. So we're excited for it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Is Colorado State unique in terms of beautiful campus, great setting, cool town, and then you have opportunities. You don't always get access to everything, but there's a lot of options for things like you describe where, hey, as snowfall hits, why don't you go inside the $220 million stadium that's just under a decade old? So that's not bad. I hear wins, I hear facts. It's true. Regardless of who gets to claim how many championships, it is a fact nationally. No 2 teams have more championships historically than Colorado State and BYU. And you can feel that. And I can vouch for that. When you're in that stadium and it's like it is this year where BYU and Colorado State will be inside Canvas Stadium for the Rams season home finale. And then right after that, you talk about finding out who you are. Here's a fact. Most recent victory in the showdown with CU, that would be for the Rams. So you're walking in, you guys have the win, and then you're going to finish up on the road against CU. And at that point, which will be your regular season finale going into the RMLC tournament, you will definitely know what kind of squad you are, right?
Oh, 100%. And we'll know, we'll know after the Northern California trip, we'll know after the Texas trip, and those are back-to-back weekends. Obviously, that home game stretch of 7 straight, we're going to know where we are during that. It's something that last season, I don't want to touch too much on the last season. We had, some great leadership, some guys that paved the way for us, carrying that culture over from last year to this year. I think we found our discipline a little too late last season. We were the best team that we could be, beating, winning our game against CU in the stadium, and then, putting a really good contest up against UVU in the RMLC final semifinals. So that was we were playing some of our best lacrosse there, but we didn't start out the best, right? So we dropped one early on. February 1st was, we would be playing this weekend had we had that same schedule, and we had Oregon come out and. They took it to us, and we weren't ready for it. And that was a lack of discipline. That was a lack of preparation, and in terms of who we were as a team, as an identity. And we thought we were going to go in there, and they popped us in the mouth, and then that one kind of hurt. And that at the end of the season is something that people look at. So this year, coming out right off the bat, it's discipline from day one. It's creating that, instilling that into us. Not finding the best lacrosse at the end of the season, but finding it early on. So, that's something that's really important to me and our coaching staff, to really hold them accountable. And first game, not finding it by the first game is too late. So you can't in this league, in this high level of lacrosse, like there's no waiting. There's no, we'll get to it in the middle of the season. It's now. Time is now. So.
I thought it was kind of interesting. You talk about culture. Catalysts for the culture have to be your captains, any sport, any team, right? I noticed that the program did announce 4 captains for the 2026 season, and we do a lot of these broadcasts, so we know these guys. So it makes me grin when I see names like Charlie Bebo, Joe Dixon, Mason Daly, Jack Rigo. Those are your 4 captains. Pretty stud group of 4 right there for your Rams, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got every personality, on the list. You got Charlie that's still looking for his Carhartt sponsor. Shout out Carhartt if they're listening in. Charlie always wears his gray Carhartt. Good luck Carhartt underneath all of his gear. It's just something that he's done. He's starting in every game of his career. He's going to be the real rock of our defense, leading them from there. And we have a crop of 4 freshmen that are very talented goalies that are going to be paving the way for the future. And that doesn't say that they're not pushing Chuck right now. So he is leading them. He's helping the younger guys come into their roles and do what they need to do moving forward. But he's he has that pressure behind him because those are very talented goalies that are nipping at his heels ready to go. So he's just a electric style goalie. He's extremely motivated. He's there leading the team. A team lifts on the field. He's just a great human being too. And I've loved seeing him grow and mature and really become. And so I'm excited to see he got player of the week last year. He got some accolades, got some honorable mention. I think he deserves a little bit more than that. With where he's been. And I think that this is going to be the year for him that he really gets the league accolades that he's not really, he's humble. He's not really being like, I want those. That's my goal. It's keep your head down, keep working hard, and those will come. So I think this is truly the season where you're going to see that, and he's going to get that recognition that he deserves. And him being a senior, construction management, he's worked internships. He's going to be very successful off the field too. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And then, so he's a senior, and then we've got Mason Daly, another senior, midfielder. Mason's coming from LA, been with us for, this is his 4th year with the program, and seeing his maturity and his growth, has been nothing but short of greatness. And, he was our team president, for the past, season. He was vice president before that, and he just cares so much about this program. And how it works too is like our VP now moves into president, and now our president is just a senior captain midfielder on the field, and he's there to help shadow the other guys and help make sure that they understand their new roles as president and vice president. So he has that student leadership role as well, in addition to team captain. So he works for Disney now. He's an engineer. He works on robotics, and an incredibly intelligent human being, and just a freak athlete. He's going to be one to watch out for too, and his leadership. And I'm excited to see him flourish this season too. And then Joe Dixon, as a junior, he's brings the physicality to our defense, the leadership. Leads by example. He's a great human being, and really stepped up last year as our most improved defender, most improved player on the team. He stepped up in our BYU game when things weren't going very well, and just brought some violence to our defense that was needed, and that carried over into our UVU game, and then carried over into our CU game in the stadium. And he's really stepped into a role that we needed him to be in, and he's been leading in the practices and leading off the field in the team lifts. And I'm excited to see what he can do too. And then you got your Jack Rigo, our swamp puppy from Florida. He played at St. Thomas Aquinas. You'll probably say that wrong. Don't quote me on the name of that. I think I'm close enough there. But he's from Florida, and made his way out to Colorado. And he's just, if he's not playing lacrosse, he's fishing. He's I went fishing with him out in Florida when we were visiting. Coach Hughes and I, were there coaching lacrosse, and we hit him up, and he's like, yeah, I'll take you out. Let's go. And that was, went and hit some of the canals there. And he's an incredible fisherman, but even better lacrosse player. He's, just doesn't have any quit in his heart, and he just wants to see this team succeed, and plays very passionately. And he's a very talented player too. And he's got some really good accents on attack with Lachlan Rogers and Tanner Marsh, and, Brandon Krause, and some guys that are going to be helping us offensively there. And, we've really surrounded ourselves with some new transfers as well that have had really going to be some notable transfers we can talk about too. But I'm excited to see Jack play with one of the best attack lines that we've ever had here at CSU, and seeing what they can do together. It's going to be special. But the captains these are the right captains. They were voted by their team, their teammates, and there's not to the guys that didn't get the captainship, we have a lot of leaders that were very close to being, that fourth or fifth captain. Will Scott is one that comes to mind. Scotty has been dedicated to this program, and he's going to help lead the defense with his, his experience and, his maturity as well too. And, I don't want to, I could sit here and name every leader on the board. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see their leadership take hold of this team and really find our identity and flourish.
Yeah, it's exciting as we again approach the spring 26 season. It'll start up in late February on the road in Northern California, go to Texas, then 7 in a row at home, and then Utah, and then back here for those final 2 that will have the home broadcast, and then finish up the regular season at CU. The 9 home dates, again, will be presented to you via Stream It Sports Productions. We'll have those available streaming along, all over the planet via sislacrosse.com. A great way to support and track your Colorado State lacrosse team. Ryan, I'm pumped. You got me excited, man. I'm ready to go.
Let's go.
Yep. So keep in mind, again, sislacrosse.com if you want to watch. Otherwise, we will see you out on the turf to support these 2026 Colorado State Rams.